Hello and welcome to another video from Kenson Kerbin. In this video, at long last, it's time for Valentina to return home to Kerbin in the Kragon crew capsule that was launched on top of the Capsule 9 rocket in my last video. So here we are at the Kerbal Space Centre. If we just spin around slowly, you can see over here, this is where my Capsule 9 rocket landed in the last video, and it's still there, waiting to be recovered. If we just have a quick look, there it is, still sitting there with its lights on, showing that it was all done in one save, and it wasn't a quick save and then reload job to get it to work. So if we head back to the tracking station, we can find the Kenson space platform, which should be orbiting Kerbin. Yep, it's still there, jolly good. And if we can select that, oh, sorry, it's not a station. I might change the name of that later. So okay, so anyway, so yep, so we're going to fly the space station. And as you can see, we've got Jeb, Bob and Bill also on board, and Valentina is lurking in there somewhere. So we've just realigned the orbit of the space platform. There it is, just rename it or reclassify it as a space station. And it's having a little bit of a wobble. It's running in fast forward, so the oscillation looks worse than it really was, just while it's settling into its position as it reorientates itself in orbit. So now we've just got to find Valentina. She's hiding in one of these compartments somewhere. Unfortunately, I can't actually remember which compartment or which pod I left her in, as it was a while ago when I did that. So we're just going to have a peruse around until we can find her. Spinning around, seeing what my options are. Where might we have left her? I think that's the one. No, that's not the one she came up in, but there's no one in there. So is she in one of the cockpits? No, that's Jeb in that one. Okay, not yet. Definitely got Val on board there. There she is. So is she in the observation deck? No, no one in there. Is she in the science module? No, Bob's in the science module. Is she on board? I think I'll just check that one. Yeah, there's no one in there. Is she on that one? No, no one on there. And she... oh, there she is. That's the one she's in. Right. So now we know that. We can prepare to undock and return. Alright, let's see if we can get a view of what's going on. Just change the camera angle, aim the camera at the pod, there we go. And have a look in. Does she look happy, ready to go home? Who can tell? No, there's not much expression on her face there. But, as we can see, oh, the Kerbin's still got an empty head. No brain in there. Right, so I want to land. I'm going to try and land at the Kerbal Space Centre. So I'm just doing a quick time warp for a little while until we get it round onto the daylight side. There we go. I've not used the navigation yet, so I'm not going to try and do it now, in case it goes wrong. So let's get back to Val and get ready to undock. Just a quick save before we leave, in case it does all go wrong. There we go. So we can disengage the docking port. There we go. And very slowly the pod drifts away from the station. I did try to use the RCS thrusters. There we go, just turn them on. But there isn't actually a forward and backward control as such with the RCS thrusters on the pods. I didn't add any extra ones. So although it can reorientate itself left, right, back and forward, it can't actually transition along the Z-axis, I suppose, backwards and forwards. So we just got to wait for it to drift away. While we're doing that, just checking the staging order of the last few components. As it's been docked to the station for a while, some of the staging sometimes gets rearranged for some reason, so just making sure that the staging is going to happen in the right order. Now I'm just trying to work out which thrusters, which buttons operate which thrusters, so I can turn 90 degrees to the station and then propel myself sideways, like as you can see now, and just checking the parachutes are set for re-entry. Yeah, as you can see, we're moving away from the station a bit quicker now, and just trying to decide where we're going to start. So if I'm going to put maneuver nodes, or a maneuver node out, but I'm not actually going to use it as a maneuver node as such. I'm just going to use it as a timing marker. So although I've got a maneuver set in there just to give me some idea where the trajectory is going to take me, there we go, we're just warping up to the maneuver node, and see, we just set it in prograde, we're not set to the maneuver node. And there we go, we're coming up on the maneuver node 0 time. Just time warping up to it, so we're ignoring the start burn time in whatever seconds. We're waiting for the maneuver node to reach 0, which we've done, and then we just hit full throttle and we just burn off all the fuel we're carrying in the tiny little tank that's on this re-entry stage. And then we can just set the anti-normal navigation mode and jettison the engine and the fuel tank. Obviously we don't need those anymore, and set it back to retrograde. Not that it really makes too much difference now, because we're on a free fall trajectory back to Kerbin, and hopefully we're going to end up back at the Kerbal Space Centre. So we're just time warping through the upper part of the descent and aiming to cross the coastline here at about 65,000 metres, or 65 kilometres or so, and we are more or less on target for landing at the Kerbal Space Centre. So now we're just checking on Val as she gets ready for the last phase and going through the thermal heating, and she's very glad to have a heat shield in front of her, or behind her in this case. Looking a bit worried and getting a bit beaten and shaken about a bit as the temperature on the outside rises, all the plasma flying past the outside. I don't know quite why we can see it on the inside, but it is on the outside of the pod. And there we go, we've passed through that. Still doesn't look too impressed though. Go on, Val. Yeah, there we go. Looking happier now. Now for the gentle ride down to the ground. So here we are, passing over the Capsule 9 rocket, which is parked on the the eastern end of the Kerbal Space Centre. And we're coming down nicely. We should land fairly close to this Kerbal Space Centre. And coming down, I think I'll set the parachutes to open quite late. There we go, we've enabled the see-through overlay, just see what's going on in the pod. I think I'm going to jettison the... I'll wait till we get down to about 200 metres per second or so before we release the parachutes, just to make sure they don't get ripped apart. There we go, the jettisoned heat shield now drops away as the parachutes inflate. And we've got, what, 300 metres or so to go till we reach the ground, although I think the ground's at 70 metres, so I think the gauge is still set to sea level, so yeah. So we should hit the ground at about 70 metres. And what's that, 5.6 metres per second, so that should be a fairly soft landing. more than slow enough for the pod to survive. And there we go, we've got 150 meters to go. I just changed it to the land, and we're going to jump off and use the parachute for the last 100 meters, which came along a bit quicker than I was expecting. Alright, so let's just get Val's helmet off and the neck ring. Oh, watch out! Oh, that was pretty close. Fortunately, it didn't land on her. So there we go. She's back. Just checking she's got both her hands still, and we're going to plant a quick flag. There we go, and give it a name. So KSP. And Kragon crew capsule safely home, and there we go. Now we just need to take a few photos for the family album. So we just got to get Val into a nice pose. Oh, she's just want to celebrate before the photo. Okay. Where are we? So let's get standing next to the flag and say cheese. Let's just turn you around a bit. There we go, and cheese again. There we go. And yep, there we go. We're all done. So that's the first of the pods safely back at Kerbin. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click on like and don't forget to subscribe. And check back soon for new videos. But while you're waiting, why don't you check out some of my other videos? Thank you for watching.